Today I visited the Church of St. Ignatius Loyola on October 7th, which was led by Reverend Brian Consman. Mass started with a prelude that was the suite on the first tone, followed by the introit. It was a very selective choice of music, sounded very peaceful and very relaxed. Everyone was moving in unison, those who took part in the Mass, including the Father, those who were doing the readings, those who were carrying the candles up to the altar. Following this was the introductory rites, which was a processional hymn for the beauty of the earth, then followed by Kyrie 205, which we had studied in class and we had heard examples of last week. Following this was Gloria, which was glory to God in the highest. There was a very coordinated movement around the altar and in the front of the church. There was a lot of audience participation throughout the Mass, people standing and sitting and kneeling in unison. This was exemplified after the Glory to God in the highest. There was a reading and then a response psalm. Everyone in the church was responding when prompted to. And then there was a second reading and again another call and response. Following this was the reading of the Gospel, followed by a homily, a creed, and a prayer of the faithful. After this was the liturgy of the Eucharist, which was the beginning of the offertory. There was an offertory motet that was sung, and then an offertory hymn, which was Joyful, Joyful, We Adore You. Accompanying all of this was the use of the organ and an organized choir that you could see up above, everyone dressed the same. They were reciting prayers aloud through a musical way, which echoed throughout the church. Then there was the body and blood of Christ, which was a ritual while facing the tabernacle. What was interesting was that in this church, St. Ignatius of Loyola, there were 3 of them, one in the center of the church and 2 on the sides. I'm assuming that this is because of the sheer size of the church and how many people attended this. The church was very beautiful, very elegant, definitely very different from any of the other churches that I had visited and other churches that I've seen growing up. A lot of decoration, everything seemed very clean, well put together, very formal. After this, people offered each other the sign of peace, and then there was the concluding rites, which was a recessional hymn, Now Thank We All Our God, and then the postlude. The demographics of this church was the majority were white people of all ages and ranges. There weren't many children. There were a few people that were not white, they were Asian, but no Hispanics or African Americans. What stood out as interesting or unusual was that when the Father said and sung his prayers, he did so in an off key. And all of the amens that were said and all the music that was sung and all the prayers that were stated, they all ended in a very positive note, which was very different from the other churches that I visited so far. Those all ended going from a higher note to a lower note. St. Ignatius of Loyola did it the other way, and they ended everything in a positive note, which made the whole Mass seem very uplifting and spiritual.